Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Authentic Conversations presented by Transition Clarity. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and it's my pleasure to introduce Veronica de la Fonte from Abundant Boss Babes. Welcome to the show.
Woo. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's get started with just the basic rundown. What do you do? What people do you work with? How do you help them? You know, a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. So I am Veronica de la Fonte, and I help female coaches who are over 40, who have been in business for 1 to 2 years. I help them go from not seen, not heard to visible, generating hundreds of leads for their business, creating highly engaged audiences so that they can build a sustainable online business so that they can make an impact doing what they love. So I've been doing this for about 3 or 4 years now. My ideal clients are female coaches, primarily working off of working online, but using Facebook and using group strategies. So that's basically what I do in a nutshell. My business is called Abundant Boss Babe, and my Facebook group is Abundant Boss Babe Entrepreneurs. And soon we will be Abundant Boss Babe in the community. So I'm working on something that's more face-to-face networking and women that we are going to actually give back to our communities. So that's in the works right now.
Well, and that I like how you said about giving back to the communities because it's so important, especially now as so much is crumbling and people are wondering where to go, what to do. So, what communities, as you said, giving back to the communities, what communities will you be giving back to?
So I reside in Miami, Florida, and in Wisconsin. The plan is to build this networking group of ladies in the Wisconsin area because I notice in that area that there's not a lot of things to do for networking for women. You know, it's a very masculine environment in Wisconsin. And there's not really like, you know, there's not really like any uh like ways to connect with women. And so what I want to do is really just get in a community and help like maybe domestic violence shelters, because I know that there was one that I was actually buying things for and donating. So like that's my plan. Like I want to like get women together, let's network about business, let's create those connections, and then let's turn around and help a sister in need, that might look like helping volunteering for a domestic violence shelter, maybe sending cards to a woman that's like in the hospital and she doesn't have any family, or helping her, like, bringing her dinner or something like that. Because I do notice that people are lonely up there, and they're older people and they're by themselves. And like people will, like, when you're lonely, like your life is not happy, just to have a friend
And
is good.
I know, like, I wouldn't say I know Wisconsin, but I know coming from um, a colder climate, you tend to stay in,
Yes.
right? Like, we're not like out at the beach because Miami, you can do that, right?
Hmm.
Year round.
Yes.
And so, yeah, like, that's a real thing of being a shut in, right?
Hmm. Yes.
But I also, how did you get into your line of work? How did you get into doing like the social and all online helping the women? Like, what's the background to get you there?
So I have a very interesting story.
Well, I
So
realize that.
yeah, so
And only share what you feel comfortable sharing. Cause like,
yes. So I literally was living in Key West for many years, like 10 years. And while I was living in Key West, I was a stripper and, I had a lot of fun, making a lot of money, traveling, doing, stripper things. And so COVID came along and like reared its head. And to be honest with you, before COVID came, I really did never think like past like, oh, I'm gonna go to work today and make money. I never thought like what's gonna happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that kind of thing, because that kind of job, you're just in the moment, you know? So COVID came along, shut clubs down. I mean, like girls were getting crazy because like it's not the best job for people to be responsible. Thank God I was responsible and I had some money saved up. And so during this time, I was like, wow, like I might want to think like, what is life after stripping going to be like, you know? So during that time, that was like when all the coaching industry kind of started coming about, and one of my girlfriends put me on to a podcast of a young lady that she was a dancer and she was a coach, and I took some of her courses that really got me thinking like, okay, like I could have my own business, what am I good at, you know and so during this time, I had also gone through a divorce, and it was very traumatic, sad. Nobody tells you when you get divorced, it's like a death of someone that was very close to you. And it's a lot of emotion behind that. And I was sad, I was depressed, and just I wasn't doing the things that I felt I should be doing with my life, but I felt I could not break free of those chains. It's like, there's a lot of drinking going on, that kind of thing. And so I started to soul search, and I started to like search for answers. Like, why do I want to quit these things and I'm still doing them? And I'm like the type of person that I like to really just I like to know how things work, So I want to know how does the brain work? How does Veronica's brain work? So I started stumbling on this guy called named Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot of things from him. I learned a lot of things from Esther Hicks. Like I was already on the manifestation train. Like I knew I could manifest this great life, but I couldn't manifest myself out of this ditch that I dug for myself. And Joe Dispenza was the bridge over that ditch. He really showed how I could rewire my brain. What's that book he had, Breaking the Habit of Being You? I had to break the habit of being me so I can become a new person. When I did that, then I said, I'm going to be a manifestation coach because like people need to know these things. Like they could break free of like anything that they don't want to be. They could have a brand new life. And I was like, oh, everybody needs to know, right? So I was doing the manifestation coaching. Little did I know that having your own business and being a coach is not like stripper land. I was not gonna, I I thought literally I was gonna show up online. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna help you change your life. And people were gonna be like, yes, like I want to know more, and I'm gonna give you the money to teach me how. And when I was doing these things, it was crickets, right? So I had to go back to the drawing board. And while I was going back to the drawing board, I had to really study like how to build a highly engaged audience, how to generate leads, what is a social media strategy, what is content? You know what I mean? So while I was studying these things, then I began to fall in love with that stuff because I'm very analytical. I found that out about myself. Okay, if 1 + 1 = 2, we know this. We're going to do this over and over
Mhm.
again. So then I was like, you know what? I am going to be a social media growth strategist and business mentor. I'm going to help other women who want to build a sustainable online business. I'm going to help them with their social media needs and the foundation of their business so that they can have successful businesses. And that's how I fell into the type of coaching that I do now because of, just there was a need. Like I had the need to have something else for myself after dancing. And that's what I want for other women. It's like my dancing, like my business, nobody can take that away from me. I have a master's degree, nobody can take that away from me. But I didn't want to go back to work for anybody else. I wanted to work for me and be able to have the freedom and flexibility to be with my family, or just say, hey, I got to work for 2 hours and be with my family. So that's basically how I got into coaching.
Well, and that's interesting that you say you have a master's degree and a stripper. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, was not expecting that, Miss Veronica. So
Yes, yes. I
if all the audience just had their jaw drop, so did mine.
Yes, because it, and I'll let you know how that happened, because when you're growing up, there's these society standards. So,
Mhm.
I went to school. My mom had me in private school my whole entire life. And so, what was the next thing? I played sports. Okay, if you played sports, you had to get a scholarship. So, I got scholarships to play sports. I had a baby at a young age, but I still was able to keep the scholarships. And then they're like, okay, you get a regular job after college, right? That's what they train you and groom you to do. So, I got a regular
But
job,
there's no regular jobs.
right? But then I was at this job for like 10 years. And then I was like looking at these people like they're not going anywhere. So guess what? I can't go anywhere because they're not moving out. The only way I'm going to move up is if somebody dies. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. So during that time, I got my master's degree because that was the next thing to do. I had my bachelor's, get the master's degree, and then I was at my glass ceiling. And, I remember when I went into my boss's office, and that little teeny tiny raise that he gave me after I got my master's degree, I was like, this is not the life for me. I got to get out of here.
And so
Your girl didn't.
what were you doing in your corporate job?
I was a director of a nonprofit that helped
Okay.
people with disabilities, and I
Okay.
really enjoyed the job. I really had a lot of fun. It helped me in my life with my personal life because my son has a disability, and that job really opened the doors that to what I knew I could get for my son. So anytime somebody told me, no, we can't do this, oh, yes, you can. I just know I got to talk to enough people, and I have to talk to the right people, you know? Um, so I'm always grateful for that job because my son wouldn't be where he is right now. He's 29. He works at a local grocery store. He's been there for like, I want to say like 8 years, and he's doing very well. And if I didn't have that job, I probably would have been frustrated and somebody would have said no, and I would have accepted that.
And so what is his disability?
He has apraxia, which is a motor disorder. And I believe he also has autism, but he's not like on the spectrum. So he never got diagnosed. But the apraxia is like, it's a motor. Um, when they explained it to me, it's a motor disorder where like the mouth and the brain is thinking faster than the mouth, and it's not like
Yeah.
coinciding to get it out. So sometimes I have to ask him to slow down with his speech because I can't understand it. But the more that you're around him, the more you can understand what he's saying.
I get it. I've had a lot of um, dyslexia, cerebral
Mm-hmm.
palsy. I actually volunteer for an organization that does a writing program for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the ones that the parents come in saying they're mute. And I'm like, after the writing, going, really?
Right.
They've talked the whole hour with me. And I'm like, so then I'm kind of going, am I actually physically hearing him talk or them talk? Or am I telepathically hearing them talk?
That's another thing because these
Right. But then I'm
children,
like, no, I would look back and I'm like, no, like I'm physically
Yeah.
hearing it.
They're communicating in different ways because if you have that setback, like you have to find a whole nother way of
Mm,
communicating, you
mm.
know? And so they probably were like saying things because they can mimic very quickly like the short things and stuff like that, you know? So I had to
Well, this
learn
even fascinates me more. So we're gonna go on a roller
a
coaster here because
tangent.
you started it, right? How did you go from a master's degree working in a nonprofit to stripping?
So I had Okay, so before I even started on the college road, I went to school. I went to get my bartending license. So I had my bartending license, and they have this job placement, and they placed me in a strip club. Right? So that was my first exposure in stripper life. And so I was content working as a bartender, and then one day we just had a slow day, and I was talking to one of the girls, and I was like, how much money do you guys make? Like, so she explained to me like how much money she makes and that she has her own schedule. She can work whenever she wants to work. And I was like, I'm on the wrong side of the bar, right? So then I started working at this bar down the street dancing. And then the bar that I was bartending at, they found out. And so they fired me. And because it's conflict of interest, because they think that you're going to pull a scarcity mindset, which makes no
Yeah.
sense. A bar is a bar. You know what I mean?
No, but I
So,
can see that if they want you on the table and on the dance floor, they don't want you
right,
behind the bar. You're gonna,
right. Yeah. And
yeah.
it was two
No, I
different
get it.
places. And so that was my first exposure to that life. But then my son was very, very young at that time. And it was just like a real strain on me. Like coming home at like 5 o'clock in the morning and then like having to take him to school, like he would miss the school bus and then I would have to take him to school, and that was very like stressful. And so I said I can't do this, so I ended up going back to school, finishing my bachelor's, getting a regular job. And then like when I got that master's degree and I saw like that little tiny raise, I was like, yeah, I can make more money at the strip club.
Well, yeah, but I
So,
mean it. But then you think of your son who's already at a, I don't want to say disadvantage, but has communication problems. And what does your mom do?
well, yeah, he like
Oh
it
my,
wasn't even it wasn't even like that. It's just like,
no, it's better that you went into the nonprofit, got all the best things for him,
right, right. When
right?
he got
And
older was when I returned to the club. That way he was older, and I never worked in my neighborhood. I always worked like far away. Like I would always work like an hour away from my house or 2, 3 hours. I would never work in the neighborhood. The only time like I worked where we lived was when we lived in Key West, but he was already like 18.
oh,
And that's when I told him, because I didn't tell him for a long time. I told him I was a bartender for a really long time. And when we moved to Key West, I had to tell him because I don't know, maybe he want to go to a strip club. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
like
So
that
he
would
doesn't want
not
to
be
be
a
with
good
friends
surprise.
and
you
yeah,
know?
interesting.
So yeah.
Was your ex-husband a part of the, or did you meet him like when you were working the job?
I met my ex-husband online. That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
I met him online, and he was from a different country. And so yeah,
Was he
we
trying to get her green card?
he wasn't trying to get the green card, but I tried to help him. And I think like it probably should have just played out naturally because, just we weren't a good match, and we were too young, and we both like have strong personalities, and it just didn't work. And it was a sad story because he ended up getting deported back to his country. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't say be careful well, you have to be careful who you meet online, but he was a good person. It just turned out bad. That's all I can say on that.
And like I know lots of couples that met online before it was hip to meet online. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
they're coders and whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever, because I don't understand your language anyways at the best of times. So and happily married, 20, 30 years, whatever. But it's not whether you met him online, it's he wasn't your
It's the
person.
person. Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's okay, right?
Yeah,
And you had whatever you had and whatever. Too
right.
bad he got deported, but maybe not. We don't know. His
Yeah, I don't
journey,
know.
his
Yeah,
journey, right? Um,
exactly.
but let's fast forward now because as we talked before, you're in a new relationship, talking
Yes.
marriage. The pictures I've
Yes.
seen, very happy.
Yes, yes. So, so my first husband, I manifested, and my second husband, I am manifesting or manifested, but I'm gonna tell you the difference.
Once in America already.
Because ladies, when you want to manifest your man and you're ready for your man, like you really need to write down what you want. You need to get specific with the universe because the universe is going to give you what you ask for. And if you don't ask for specifics, you get what you get. And that's what happened with my first marriage. I got what I got
I know, but
because
I also will add the caveat of if you want this perfect man in this cubicle or in this box, what are you doing within yourself to be their
right,
match?
exactly. So I
Because
did a
like
lot
is only going to attract like. So if you have
right.
him up on this pedestal and you're still on the dirt, you're never going to meet.
First of all, y'all not even gonna connect if it's
Yeah.
like that, because when I was manifesting my second husband, which I'm getting married next year, um, I did a lot of work on me. I mean, when I tell you a lot, and I'm not saying like, oh, like a month, it was like two
It's
years.
years.
two
It's your
years,
whole
two, three
life.
years. Yeah. I mean, I was meditating. I was like really clearing my energy of like, things that happened to me. I really became the person that I want. I became, what am I trying to say? Like, I became what I wanted in a partner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I became what I wanted in a partner because I wanted to be treated a certain way. I wanted to be loved on in a certain way. And I really just became the person that I wanted in a relationship. And I treated myself like that too. And then, I got blessed with this guy that, like, it was just a weird situation where, like, I left QS and my one of my girlfriends was working in South Dakota, and she was in South Dakota like 2 years. And I just had this like overwhelming urge, like I need to go to South Dakota. I ended up in South Dakota, then she took me to Wisconsin, and then I fell in love with Wisconsin. I was like, what are all these trees and these forests and deer and like, oh my
It's
goodness, I didn't even
beautiful.
know. Like it was like, what is this country? you know? And then like he was actually working at a place where I was working at, but he was doing construction on the club. He was building something for the owner. And then we met. And well, when we first met, I thought he was a customer and I was trying to take his money.
As
And
a
my
stripper,
girlfriend,
as a bartender.
as a stripper, because
Oh,
he was
hilarious.
just like he was just there like one day after he finished doing his job. And like me and one of my girlfriends, she travels with me, we see the guy, we're like, hey, what's going on, like, oh, sit by the stage. And she's like throwing the money, and he's like, oh, you need to chill, like, because she was throwing off. And so we ended up like exchanging numbers and just texting and talking, and then we were like the same person from different parts of the United States, and we just
See, and
got
that,
along
and that,
really
I
good.
mean, that just shows what kind of person he is too. That
Hmm.
he looked at you as a person, not as the the job you were doing at the time.
Right.
Like he got to
Yes.
know who you were, like the educated person who has a son who like has evolved, but
Hmm.
it's hard to turn down the cash.
That's true. That's the
And
main
and
reason.
the sadder part about like good, bad, or indifferent is there's always going to be the men that will come to the club.
That's true. That's true. And that, in the industry, like, I don't want to give the men a bad rap, because just like every type of person, there's good customers and there's pervy customers.
Mhm.
You know, you have your good customers that really know what the drill is. As we like to say, they understand the assignment. They come in, they have a couple drinks, they throw money at the girls, they're laughing, they might do a VIP, but it's an exchange of energy. And then you have those guys. There's some guys that they even come into the place, and because they're so pervy, or like they're just hard to deal with, like, I know I can make money off of them, but I'm not going to, because like at the end of the day, it's still my choice to deal with customers, you
Uh-huh.
know? Um, but like I said, I don't want to give all guys a bad rap, because some guys just come in there to just talk. Some guys,
And
they're lonely.
yeah,
They want to, like, it's not like, and definitely, from the girl's perspective, we're there for thing only, one thing only: cash and pin numbers. That's it. Like,
well, and
we're not there.
I've known guys that said like it like to them it's more of they're just there for the show, like they don't really care
Yeah,
because if they're going to go in, especially if they don't have a buddy or whatever, like they're out of town and they're working at, like as you said, your partner's working construction, they're out of town, whatever, the closest
yeah,
bar to where they're staying happens to be a strip club, the beer is the beer,
right.
they don't care.
Exactly. And
It's
then,
something
then
wet, it's something to eat, they go home.
right. And then sometimes we get guys that, they're like, oh, my buddy drugged me in here. Okay, like, you can sit in the corner. Like, there's a place for you too. There's a place for everybody, you know?
Well, and I remember when all my friends were getting married and stuff, and it was like, we gotta go to the strippers. And I said, oh my God, you guys, can't you get any more original? Oh, but it's so much fun. And every single time, I'm not looking at the stage, I don't care about the stage. They come to me, and I'm like, stop it.
Was it a male strip club?
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop it. And they're like, what? And I go, I'm not interested. If I was interested, I'd be looking. I'm not, I'm looking out. That like I have my back to the stage. And they try to
That's
turn me, and I'm like, stop it. And
that
then my
is
friends are
so
like, I can't believe they always come to you. And I go, because I'm the most uninterested. And they can't believe someone's sitting there
right.
not interested.
That's true. You
It
know,
was funny.
even though I work in that environment, like, like, I would never go to a male strip club. Like, I've been to maybe two, and they really just like,
They're
I
slimy.
have, yeah, I
Like
can't,
I've
I
I've
can't.
I've probably seen more females than males, and I prefer the females.
Yeah,
And
I just
I'm
can't.
hetero. Like,
Yeah, I just
because you
can't.
guys actually do routines. You actually like as a person who doesn't have a phenomenal body, like I see the art. Like I'm like
Yeah, it really is. And I will give these girls their props. Like, when I lived in Key West, we have good dancers down there, but when I have gone up to Wisconsin, like, those girls take it to a whole nother level. I have never seen so many beautiful pole tricks. I mean, they really have their dancing on point. It's an art up there. These girls are taking classes. They are like some of them are taking care of their bodies.
Yeah.
They're doing competitions. I
Yeah.
mean, like I had stepped into a brand new world when I started working up there. And what was hard for me was, okay, now I'm in a new spot. There's new energy. I wanted to take the classes and do the things and learn the pole tricks. But then the other side of me was like, girl, you only got like 5 more years in this. You have to build your business and you have to like do these other things. So it was a real struggle and a real pull on like, okay, this is what I want to do, but this is what I have to do. Like I have to prepare my exit strategy because it's time for me to age out of the system, and it's time for me to make a difference in a different way, you know?
And as you think about social media and you're going into this new chapter of getting married and um, you have a whole different understanding of different ways like to market because we don't
Mhm.
know that world.
Right.
You can like I know you say you're working with women over 40, but I'm saying you can remarket like bars or clubs or like to a whole different degree than these
That's
whippersnappers that are going, I'm not a social media person. And it's like, but you don't know anything. You can plug things into a computer faster, but you don't understand the industry. You don't understand the
right.
knocks of like why a club can be successful for years and years and years and then like
Mhm.
gone,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's actually a big thing, and I've talked about that with my fiance because I've traveled to lots of clubs around the United States, and we always joke all the time. I'm like, if we bought a strip club, like we'd make like a shit ton of money because like I know the industry inside and out. And I know the mistakes that a lot of these club owners are making, and I know how to deal with the girls and all that good stuff. But do I want to be in that life? No. Like, to be honest with you, like when I'm off, I'm in the bed at 8 o'clock. I don't play those games. I like to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, making my juice,
yeah.
going to the gym, having my day, doing a nap in the afternoon. And then when it's like 7:30, I'm like,
Hey man,
oh
you're sounding old.
no, I like my sleep. I like your body just functions better when
Yeah.
you're with the what do they call it? The clock, your internal clock,
Yeah.
when you're following that clock. But yeah, and then you don't want to, like, personally, I know what it's like when I was married the first time and just being in that chaotic life, being married, it's like it's no fun. So just being able to, just being older and go to work, come back home, that's a plus. But like to have to run a club, the thought of it sounds nice, but
It's not
really,
because your whole circadian rhythm gets messed up if you're not like there are the maybe 10% of the world that can do the all nighters, but they also live less. They live
yeah.
because they
And
don't have
that's,
connection to the daytime world. And yeah, I mean hats off to the ones that can do it, but it's not me.
you could do it for, everything is a limited amount of time, because
Mhm.
there was a time when I used to, like, what my mom would say, burn the candle at both ends.
Oh, high
Like I didn't
five.
have to sleep. I didn't have to sleep. I remember in my college days, like I would come back from like going out with my girlfriends. We'd come back from the club. I would sleep for like an hour or two, and then I'd be off to college. Like that was the life.
Well,
No?
that's why the people say the youth is wasted on the young, like the
Yeah,
energy, right? Because it's like, they don't know what
exactly.
they don't know. But when you're older and you want to be doing all that, you just don't have the energy,
Yeah.
no matter how much you juice or look after your body or right?
That's
So
true. That is.
is your partner good with your son?
Yes, he's good with him. They get along. So that's always a plus, when everybody gets along. So that's good. My son is always like, Mom, I'm so glad that you found somebody. So I'm excited. We're both excited about it.
That's
So I
awesome.
want to thank you
Okay.
because we had a discussion because like we met on the Alignable, and then we decided to do another talk. And then we were talking about what you actually do with the transition. And so you had said, talking about your clients and the marriage and them like not doing a wedding if that's not what they want to do, which we didn't plan to do like a wedding. We were gonna do the courthouse and then go to Mexico later and do something. But then like you had mentioned somebody that did a wedding in the backyard. And then like one day, like after you said that, I was like on the back patio at my house in Wisconsin. And I was like, we could just do the wedding right here. Like you inspired that idea. And I was like, why didn't I even think about that? Like the property is nice. We don't even have to, we don't want to spend a lot of money on the
Well,
wedding just because.
and that's the whole thing, right? So I've heard all, like, so the one that you were referring to, it was COVID. They had to they lost their wedding because everything shut down. And he had called into the radio station. That's the only reason I know about it. He called into the radio station going like, my fiance's devastated. Like, she bought this beautiful dress. It came in just as COVID shutting down.
Mm,
And then he said, like, oh, screw it, like, COVID or not, we're gonna go see our friends out on the farm. And he said, bring your wedding dress. And she goes, why am I gonna bring my wedding dress? I don't know. 38
right,
people ended up on the farm. And because farmer, like, farm mentality is like, everyone brings food. Every time you come
right,
over, you bring food. She had the most beautiful wedding that she'd never planned.
right, right,
They danced, they laughed, they ate, they, right? And and
right.
and so, like, he was saying to the radio people that um this big elaborate wedding that we were planning, we're so glad it didn't happen,
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
memories we have we will cherish forever. And I'm
right,
saying you also probably have friends too that they want to love on you guys.
right,
So
right.
let someone bring your bouquet for you. You don't care what's in it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
right, or whatever. Like, and does it even have to be a bouquet? If you're getting married at a time that you can pick garden flowers, put it together with a string. Like, it
right,
doesn't need to be this big thing, because it's not the day you're planning, it's the marriage you're planning. It's the
right.
lifelong commit you're planning. And the courthouse guy will come to the backyard.
Yes.
Or you
Yes.
get a friend to
So,
get ordained on the internet. I guess that happens.
right. So, yeah, like, I just feel like that is more up our alley.
And as
We
you're the
like,
manifester, you guys sit
hmm
down together and do your vision board, or you do your manifesting, or do your, however you manifest, your meditation together,
hmm yes.
and bring his ideas in with your ideas and say,
That's
okay,
funny you should say
team.
that because I just talked to him because he's in Wisconsin right now, and I shared with him. I said, we need to get a vision board in the office for both of us, like where we can put the things that we want together on there.
And you
So
both need a
that is,
copy of it.
yes, yes. So we're going to get that done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you
You're
for
very welcome.
inspiring that idea. we're just it's going to be something small, but just there, we have a lake and, we can just invite, the only thing my sister and my son would have to fly over, but, you know, and then we'll do like a thing, like when we have an anniversary or something, then we'll go to Mexico because I really want to go to Mexico.
Well, but I mean, like whenever Mexico happens, let it happen. Let it be,
Yes.
right? Because you guys
Yeah.
met so organically and hilariously.
Right.
You started off
Yeah.
like in a really like weird way, but awesome
Right.
way. So let the marriage be a weird, awesome way.
That's what I was thinking too. After like I thought about that, then I was like, yeah, then we can just like go hang out at the club after, like we know the owner of the club. Like I could like arrange something where like they could put him on stage and I could like do a little first dance for him on the stage and stuff like that. Like I
You
started
want to
thinking
go
about
that
all
way.
these ideas. I started thinking about all these crazy
See,
ideas.
it's so funny because I don't know your partner, but all of a sudden I just saw him go 50 Shades of Red
Yes, he
with
would
that
get
idea.
like that. He would definitely get like that. But the good thing about Jim is, he was in a relationship that was he couldn't express his feelings, you know, and now that we're together, it's like he can express his feelings. And I've exposed him to so many new things that he didn't
I'm
even know
still not sure he's
existed.
ready for the stage.
Well, if he was
But
in the strip,
by the time the wedding comes around, maybe.
yeah, no. Well, he better be ready because he already know when he's with me, like anything can happen.
I know, but like anything can happen is different with you beside him rather than yeah, like yeah.
I'll just,
I'll
but
I will
the good
trust
thing,
you.
yeah, he will go along with it because he knows like I always have his best interests at heart,
Yeah.
because he'll like I could
But
see,
men are funny that way because you can have their best interest, but if you take it that step too far, you can't
yeah,
take that
no.
back.
I don't think like there's no far step for him,
Okay.
like that.
But yeah, I just saw 50 Shades of Red and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
no, I would get more embarrassed than he does
well, especially your
because
son's there and
yeah, like oh yeah, there won't be any taking off of the clothes because my kid would be there and his parents would be there. And that was the other thing, like his parents, like they know what I do. And one time
what do
we
you mean
were
his
over there for
parents?
Jim's parents.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
thinking your son's parents. I'm like,
Jim's
oh,
parents. And so they know what I do. And so it was so funny. His mom, one time we were at Thanksgiving dinner and she's like, I never been to a strip club before. I was like, well, Holly, I'm gonna take you to the strip club one of these days. So that will probably be the proper time to have her come, like when we're all down, for the wedding. You can just go
yeah,
and have like a drink or just go there to the club or whatever.
that's funny.
But I love how, you know, um, how like that just transitioned, into, okay, look, I could do this in a different way and just go with the flow. Sometimes we overthink things too
Well,
much.
and personally, I'm just so like, um, people have said to me like, like there's times that I could have been the maid of honor or whatever. I'm like, all good, all good. Right, like I'm more of a behind the person support. And then I think about it and I'm like, I have saved myself so much money not standing up for people, knowing that like, they better have their sister, they better I'm like, all good. I'm good. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have to buy no special dress that I'll never wear again. I don't have to go to all these I'm good.
Those dresses, I'm telling you, I was a maid of honor at least 3 times. And out of the 3 times, maybe one of those dresses were like nice.
Well, and the thing is like that's where you find the people who are phenomenal seamstresses or can refashion it. And you go,
Mm,
okay, now I can now at least I can wear
yeah,
it,
because
right?
I some of them I don't know what they were thinking, you know.
They're not thinking, they're in bridezilla,
Right, right.
right? Yeah. Like, and then it's really funny because I was reading this book, it was really funny about because I was at a going wedding shopping with a friend, and this bride comes out of the change room just like, oh my god, it has pockets, oh my god, this is amazing. And I go, what's the big deal? And the
Pockets of-
wedding consultant lady said, oh, pockets weren't allowed in wedding dresses. And I go, why? It was a folklore that we were witches,
What?
that we
Really?
would put our potions in our pockets. And then I'm reading a book, and it was like, yeah, you weren't allowed pockets because you any women weren't allowed pockets because they were considered witches. And I said, dang, I guess I'm still a
Oh,
witch because I don't wear anything without a pocket.
right. That's what I was gonna say. Maybe I'm a witch because I love pockets.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I get excited about pockets, especially on a dress.
I use pockets because I don't carry a purse. I
Yeah,
hate purses.
yeah. Purses, it just depends. I like the
No, I mean
crossovers.
I use a bag sometimes if I have to, but I'm notorious for leaving them behind, so I just don't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So this has been a roller coaster of
I
fun.
know.
Fun. Like I had no idea what you're gonna say, but it was like so exciting. And I love because okay, this isn't to you, but it's to the general because as being a coach most of my life, I'm seeing all these coaches come out of the woodwork all of a sudden in COVID. And I'm like, okay, what's your claim to fame to being a coach? What's it, right? And so now I'm kind of going, yeah, you kind of got a claim to fame, right? Like you might not be doing the corporate stuff for like a long time, but you have a totally different perspective on how you can help women um, think outside of the box
Hmm.
on
Yeah.
what they're going to do with their social media, right? And even I'm
Yes.
even thinking of like, how can she help me think outside of the box, right? Because
Yeah.
I like my coaching is I'm not for everybody,
Right. And
right?
you shouldn't be.
And but my biggest thing with coaching is I don't care what the situation. All I know is you're an A, it's gray matter, and you know there's a B somewhere. And I come in and I shine the light, I give you suggestions, it starts opening up your heart to go, oh, I have discernment for my questions to ask. I'm now seeing B. Got it. And there's three
Right.
different ways I can get there. I go, my job's done.
Right.
I'm not here
Right.
to do it for you. I'm not here to do the work or whatever. Right. And that's the biggest thing I've learned through COVID. I'm not reaching back and helping anyone move forward.
Right. Yeah. And as a
If you
coach,
grab
it's
my
not our
rope, if you grab my rope and you make it tight, and I go, okay, they want to play. Come play. Let's go.
right. As a coach, we're not here to do the work. We're just here to present like different ways of doing things, different thought ideas, thought patterns, techniques, that kind of thing. And it's for the client to actually do the work. We're just a cheerleader. We're the conduit. Like we're telling you like what it is, like right before we had this call, I had a young lady and I was going over her business page and so often, very often, us as business owners, when we are presenting ourselves on Facebook, I have been guilty of this in the beginning as well. When I started my business, I wanted to put everything business on my profile. I didn't talk about my life. I didn't talk about like anything else. It was just business, business, business. And I had to let her know, like, okay, I know what you sell, I know what you make, I know what your products are. And that's it. That's all I know about your page. But what we want to know is, what's your favorite quote? Do you have questions for us that we can easily answer and we could get to know you? Can you share the process of making a bracelet? What are the materials that you're using to make the bracelets? Tell me about these stones. What can these stones do for you? Like, do you have clients that have bought stuff from you? Can we see pictures? You know what I mean? So it's really giving them,
I think the
helping the client
story.
see, right, it's giving your possible client a story and giving them the whole scope of you, because yes, they want to know about the product, but they want to know the face behind the product and who the person is behind the product, because people only buy from you because they like you, and you can, and the transformation that you're able to help them with, you know. So that's what I actually do when my clients come and sit with me, is I help them get more creative with their content strategy, their social media strategy, and also help them build the systems and strategies to start nurturing this audience that they are trying to captivate and really educate about their services, and show them, this is why you need me, because this is a transformation that I'm going to provide for you. And I liked what you said when you said, you're not for everybody.
Mhm.
You, as a coach, you can't be for everybody, because if you are creating a message that you hope everybody will hear, and like that one person is going to buy from you, you're not doing it properly. You really have to niche down. I know a lot of people probably, some people don't agree with it, but in the beginning of your coaching career, you need to niche down, because you need to know who you're helping, the transformation that you're providing this person with, and where on the journey you're helping them at. When you get good at this and you can do that with your eyes closed, then you can open the gates and help more people,
Mhm.
because
Well,
now you've
and
perfected your craft.
yeah, and that's one thing. Like when I first, I'll use Alignable as an example. When I first was started on Alignable, they're like, "Oh, you have too many headings. You have too many people. You have too many." And I'm like, "Well, if you read it, they're all in transition. They're just different
Hmm.
headings." And then they're like, "Oh, you should put some words up on your, because I have the lighthouse, right? So you should put words up like it's what are you saying?" And I'm like, "I'm the lighthouse." And then something changed cosmically, and everyone's like, "Oh, you do transitions, any transition." I'm like, "Yeah, it comes down to the same thing, right? It's emotional,
Right.
getting through whatever you have to get through." And they're going, "Oh, I love your lighthouse, it's so calming."
Yeah.
And people have called me because, like, so I, instead of freaking out, right? And this brings up another thing. So I've been asked to speak for one of the Alignable groups. And I'm like, "Okay, coaches, what are you looking for? What topic should I use?" And the call before this, um, she was saying we use Chat GPT, and I'm like, "Oh, I just got my answer. Who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? If you're putting it all into the books, you're putting it all into your social media manager. If you're not running the ship.
Exactly.
So when you hit the rocks, because the lighthouse has been here, the lighthouse has been saying don't hit the
Mhm.
rocks, but you've let everyone outsource it all, then you're not
Right.
at the helm.
That's
So
true.
now I just got to
That's
write my
true.
topic.
Right. You know, like I was on this strict fence of like, I would never use Chat GPT. Is that, yeah, that's how you say it, Chat GPT. And then one day I tried it
It's
for a
so
sales
cool.
page, for a sales page. So I could see that that is definitely going to be a tool to use, but for sales pages,
I
like for
know, but
sale.
the thing is like people have gone so much using the AI that
Mm-hmm.
you go and put something up on social and it doesn't post. And you're like,
Oh.
why isn't it posting? Because the AI is catching on, say, Facebook, that it's 95% AI. So it won't post it.
Mm-hmm.
It won't read the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, haha. So I do the whole blurb, like the 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, right? And I don't trust my writing, right? That's why I have Grammarly to fix all my apostrophes and
Right.
whatever. And then I go, so make it pretty. Take these 4 or 5 paragraphs. Can you make it into, one concise paragraph or two,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it goes screech, and I go, perfect. It's still my words.
Right. Okay. See,
They
I didn't even
they
know you
just
could do that with,
fancied it. So
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, Chat GPT, and they have one. They have OpenAI or whatever for pictures, and that's all good. It still needs to be 95% your work, your writing, your picture, your whatever, to
Yeah.
compress it into finesse. And then
I
that,
actually I write my own content still. Like I
well, I
have,
try to, but I need it buffed up.
yeah, I still write my content myself. Maybe if I'm in a slump, I'll try Chat GPT, but right now,
Well, for me, how I use it is like, okay, so I've been doing this work 25 years. Clients are starting to, go from this personality to this personality, trying to figure out blog posts, like, what can I run with for the next 6 weeks? Can you give me some headings? And I'll spit out 10 headings. I go, thanks.
right.
Take the 10 headings, put it on a notepad, and then I go, okay, I'm going to build on these headings.
Mhm.
That's what I use it for. It's just more of like,
No,
what if
don't, yeah,
my
I,
page is looking really
yeah,
white and I need something?
yeah,
Then
I feel like it's a good tool, but I also feel like use it as a tool, not a crutch, because it's really taking away your critical thinking skills. Like if you like take spell check, for instance, okay? When it comes in handy when you're typing, and like last night I was typing doing a piece of content and I wanted to use the word colleague. Well, that's not a term that I use all the time. And I was like, well, I could just put it in spell check any kind of way and it'll correct it. No, I didn't even take the time to use my critical thinking skills to at least put the word in as close as possible. And so that's what I feel like AI is going to take away from people. Like, I'm not even going to try to write anything. I'm just going to have the AI do it for
so
me.
you got to be careful, because when you think about American spelling and Canadian spelling,
It's a little different.
your American words are always caught as misspelled words, because you
Yeah,
look at
no.
color, right? COLOR for you.
Hmm.
We have OUR.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then I start like, what was one that used to get me just like messed up? I can't remember. We use Z or Z. You use S, and I'm like,
Oh,
so I
yeah,
just
like expertise.
so I just started spelling it wrong, because I read too
Yeah.
many American books,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's true.
but it's wrong. Like, what the hell? Right? And so that comes back to the same as coaching. Are you for everybody? Am I for everybody? No.
No. Yeah.
If you want the you in color, you're for me. If you don't,
Right.
maybe not.
Right, right.
And it's like, yeah, like it's just like, yeah, it's bugging me what the word is now. Because it's totally, the word is totally changed to how it's written. But anyways, if it ever comes up, I'll let you know what it is.
Okay.
um This has been so much fun.
Yes. Yes, it has.
So, as we're coming to the end, and um, on your journey of life and motherhood and love and finding this new adventure and just the creativity of just being a dancer in the game as long as you have been, um, what what would you say to people of you know like
About life
yeah
or
just yeah
yeah. I would definitely say just really follow where your heart desires. Like if you feel the pull to go somewhere, do something within reason now, okay? I ain't talking about robbing no banks.
there's money in
But
there anyways.
right. But if you feel that pull, like just go with the flow, you know, go with the flow because like the adventure that you're going to have in life is just going to be a beautiful thing. And if you're in a part in life right now where things aren't going good, it's going to pass, you know? Like I remember like my darkest hours, I could think about them right now. I needed those dark hours to get exactly where I am right now. And this is the happiest time of my life, So the dark hours are forging your character, they're building you stronger, and just go with the flow. And if you need help, ask for it. That's one of the main lessons that I've learned on my journey is to ask for help when you need it. I didn't grow up with um, role models showing me how to ask for help because my mom did it all her own. She was a single mom. So, when you need help, ask for help and ask for what you want. So those are the things that I would
Well, and
definitely.
that's even another like interesting point by saying, so here you grew up with a single mom, but you went to private school.
Right? My mom did it, and we had to clean the school on Saturdays as
And
part of
so
our
so
tuition.
I'm not yeah, like I'm not I don't want to take away from your story, but that's really interesting because there's a guy in Canada who um he makes some kind of alcoholic drink. I can't remember what it's called. Um and and he was new to the country and he was like, cleaning the school while his friends were outside the school playing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And they're like, how come you can never play with us, right? And he said he was in grade 10 the first time he was ever handed a $5 bill.
Mm,
And he's
yeah.
like, it was his own, and he didn't have to justify who he was spending it on or what he was doing with it.
Right.
He never
Yeah.
spent
We
it. He never
we
spent it. To this day, he's never spent it because he says this is the first money that he's ever seen and said it
mm-hmm.
was mine to do with what I want.
Right.
And now he has this big company that makes this drink, whatever, and he has it on his wall.
Nice. Yeah, no, we had to, like my mom did what she had to do. And, she put us in private schools. We had to like do the school cleanup like on the weekends. But that all was building the character because, I'm a workaholic. Like we're gonna any situation you put me in, I'm gonna go above and beyond. And if my above and beyond is not good enough, like I get devastated. That's something
First of
that's something
all,
I have to work on.
that's your stuff.
Yes, that's
Because
my
yeah, because
baggage.
you are coming into the age, especially going into this new marriage and this new partnership of, can we loosen up the strings and
Yes,
enjoy this new life together?
yes. And that is something that I I'm learning, because I've been so used to doing everything for myself, by myself, not asking for help. And the society roles that they placed on Black women is like we have to be strong, because we just have to have out this strong armor on because we have to know everything at all times. And that's not true.
That I think
Like,
that's more American than anywhere.
yeah,
Well, yeah, because I have black friends here. Um they're not from America, and they don't get what you guys say. Like they're from
yeah,
Africa, and they just like we didn't have that. We like
yeah.
right, and so
It's
and I have family down in America, and I used to always say like, you guys are your worst enemies. I swear to God.
yeah. I mean, when I tell you, like they adopted this independent woman role model for us. Like it's tiring.
I can
You
imagine.
can't do all things and be all things. Like,
And I've said that to clients. I said, as a woman, you can have a career, you can have a baby, you can have a marriage, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at one time.
right, you know?
Something has to shift to have a baby. Something has to shift to get married. Something has to
Right.
shift to, right? And I
Yeah.
remember coming out of high school, and there was this one girl, and I said, "What are you taking in university?" And she said something, some stupid thing, and I go, "Oh, you're going for a husband?" Yeah. I'm like, okay, good on
That's
you.
one thing I didn't grow up. I never was one of those girls that was like, "Oh yeah, I want to get married. Like I gotta have a husband and a whole
Because
family."
you grew up
Like
with a
that was
single mom.
that was like not on my radar at all. I was like, boys, ew.
Yeah.
But speaking about the transition, that is one of the things that I'm very grateful in my relationship because when me and Jim got together, he created a safe space for me and I was just catapulted into this feminine energy. Like my spirit knew that I was in a safe space and all of a sudden like I started changing. Like it was like I was like what's going on? Like I feel like not
You feel
I'm
like you have
using
the
the
armor.
wrong I'm using the wrong word, but like it was like a weakness. Like I put my guard down.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to like do the soft things. I was in my feminine energy and I didn't even know. I'm like I was like a deer in headlights. Like what's going on right now? I really had to read about that and see what's going on. But it's a great place to be because, had I not had that, I'd still be out there, doing things for myself, just being isolation, traveling by myself,
Well,
like,
and good on you for doing the things by yourself, because there's lots of women that won't travel by themselves. And it was
um,
funny because I remember going to Mexico the first time by myself, and I was like, I was having trepidation about it, and my girlfriend goes, "Why?" Right? Because like, she moved from Africa, so I'm figured like, oh my god, like, because I've never left my city. Um, and she goes, "Well, we like you, right?" And I go, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "Do you know that people will like you no matter where you go?" Yeah, I guess. She goes, "How about you go and find out about liking yourself?"
I like that.
And you know what? It ended up being a phenomenal trip. I had
Yeah,
that peace and quiet, that downtime that I needed to find out that I liked myself.
right.
And
And
then
find out about yourself.
I met some really fun people that we hung out for the end of the trip. And one of
Mhm.
them I'm still friends with today.
Yeah. No, traveling
Right?
is, I tell people all the time, I never waited for anybody to travel. I always was like, pew, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Now, my fiance, I actually he got his passport. Um, because I told him, I said, well, you better get your passport because when I get ready to go some places, if you don't got your passport, you ain't gonna be able to come. So we've been to, where did we go? Where did we go that we used the passport? We didn't have to use it in St. Thomas. Oh, we went on a cruise, and the cruise we went to Jamaica and Bahamas,
Mhm.
and those two places. And then for Thanksgiving, we're gonna go to Jamaica. So yeah, he's definitely getting the stamps and getting the culture and just living life. So that's what I
And
would
that's
leave
the
with the
thing, right?
audience is living your best life,
And it's
you
funny
know?
because like probably 70% of Canadians have passports and 20% of Americans.
Yeah, because you know what? I'm convinced they don't want people to know what's outside. When you go outside of your neighborhood, like you can see like different opportunities.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
watching this documentary. I was watching this documentary about this young boy. He had never been out of one of the parish that he lived in New Orleans, and it was a really bad neighborhood. And the only way he got out of there was he got convicted of a crime, and they put him on a bus to take him to jail. And this is the only time people are leaving these places is on the bus to go to jail or in a hearse to get buried in the ground. They
well,
don't want
but
them
it's
to
but
see.
to give the Americans credit, you have a vast country that you
Yeah,
really don't need to leave it to see
that's true.
everything, right? And I truly believe a lot of the Canadians have it because hardly any of them are born in Canada anymore. So they have a passport so they can go home and visit family from wherever they come. Um,
Right.
but the average born Canadian, like, yeah, they left the farm, they went to the local school, they went to town, came back to the farm, right? Um, but I mean, it's like it's it's each to your own. Like, I mean, I had a girlfriend who came from the farm, and until she met me, she had no desire to travel.
Yeah.
She met
Yeah,
me,
I
and then
guess,
all of a sudden, her parents have the bug, and her sister has the bug, and everyone's got the bug, and they all blame me. And
yeah.
I'm like, don't blame me.
Yeah, it's who you meet in on the journey, and travel is just one of the greatest joys in life. Like I've been to Europe one time, but like we're gonna talk about where else we want to go in Europe because we need to just I've had a natural pull to go there, and now that I'm with Jim, he's half Irish and half like Nordic or Scandinavian, I think, or something like that.
Norwegian.
So yeah, Norwegian, that's what it is. And so like, we can go over there and see some things, and yeah, I just want to go places, see things, talk to people. Like I think that comes from, in my family, me and my sister are first generation American.
Mhm.
So my mom she's from Antigua and she
Okay.
traveled to London to Europe. So she was a traveler, she
Well,
left her home.
but like my family's from the Caribbean too. They didn't travel because of traveling. They traveled because there was no schooling. They left
Right,
England for school
right.
to have a
'Cause
better life. So that means
yes,
your mom came from money,
mm,
right? Because the ones that didn't have money stayed in the schools in the Caribbean,
right,
right?
right.
So same. Like my dad stayed in Guyana for school, and my mom went to England.
Okay, I didn't know you were Guyanese.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
hey,
So my grandfather was the eye doctor for the islands.
okay. Yeah. And so my mom went to nursing school in England. And when she finished, she came to the States because they needed nurses in the States. And
Yeah.
then I came along.
He said, I gotta come. I gotta get this world started.
Right, exactly. It's my time. I'm coming.
That's funny. You are a firstborn.
Oh
Well,
man.
my dear, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Great to have you on the show. Once
Yes.
again, my guest today, Veronica, and her company is Abundance Boss Babes. I'm Adele Bernard, Authentic Conversations by Transition Clarity.